Hi, I'm Max McKenna from Head First On Roll Camps. Given the current events around COVID-19, particularly in NCAA baseball, we wanted to offer a few videos and posts over the next few days to help high school student athletes navigate this time in their recruiting, starting today with outlining some of the specific changes to recruiting and what they might mean for you as a baseball player. With the disruption to the college and high school spring sports seasons, we know that a lot of things are up in the air right now, and a lot of people are impacted, including us. As you might imagine, this is not the background that you'd see if I were talking to you from Head First HQ, but we're all working remotely for the time being to do our part to flatten the curve. We want to make sure that student athletes have the best advice on how to navigate this moving forward in their recruiting. So today we're going to talk about the actual changes to the NCAA recruiting calendar and what they are so far, and also what they mean and what they mean for baseball players in particular. Later this week, we'll address in detail some tips, tactics, and strategies for baseball players to best adapt and so that they can continue making strides in their recruiting during this time. And then the last episode, if you will talk through some of the potential second order and third order effects of this interruption to the season on recruiting, ramifications to eligibility, roster sizes, available scholarships, etc. First, as I'm sure you've all seen, the college baseball season and all NCAA postseason play has been canceled due to concerns about the coronavirus. With this, the NCAA has also implemented a dead period from now until April 15th across all sports, which limits the types of recruiting activities that coaches are allowed to do. So first, what is a dead period and what does this mean? So by the NCAA definition, a dead period defines that during a dead period, a college coach may not have face-to-face contact with college-bound student athletes or their parents and may not watch student athletes compete or visit their high schools. Coaches may write and telephone student athletes or their parents during a dead period. So to unpack this a little bit, what isn't allowed, it's pretty clear about this. It's in-person or face-to-face recruiting of any kind, including scouting, on-campus official and unofficial visits, going to see a student athlete at their home, attending a high school game or tournament, etc. They can't come see you in person. They can't interact with you face-to-face for the time being until April 15th as it currently stands. Next, what is allowed? What can I be doing as a student athlete to continue to advance my recruiting? As it says explicitly, emails, phone calls in both directions, both to and from the coach, and correspondence with age-appropriate prospective student athletes, meaning they're after September 1st of their junior year of high school, is completely allowed. So if you're a current junior or senior, you can have all sorts of contact with these coaches digitally over email using profiles, which we'll touch on in a future talk, calling, texting if you have a relationship built up with a coach. So you have a lot of ways to continue to communicate with the coach during this time. If you're a current sophomore or freshman who's looking to get ahead in the recruiting process, this doesn't mean that you can't email or communicate with college coaches. It just means that they're limited in what they're able to communicate or send back to you. You can still send them your latest video or your new academic transcript, but what you'll likely get back in writing will be a form letter indicating that they can't have recruiting-specific conversations with you until September 1st of your junior year, and then likely giving you some information about their school's prospect camp, which is probably coming up this summer or fall. This isn't necessarily a lack of interest. It's just that these Division I coaches are limited in the types of communication that they can have with you prior to September 1st of your junior year. Now, one unique thing in baseball for current sophomores and freshmen is that there is the ability for coaches to answer the phone regardless of the age of the student athlete who's calling them. So for those of you who are pre-September 1st of junior year of your high school, if you call the baseball office and the coach picks up, you can then have a conversation. So working in some manner of calling into the offices could benefit you. Now also keep in mind that coaches are, communicating with their current teams about the season. They are filling their time in other ways. And also some campuses are actually not allowing coaches or staff or faculty on campus. And so they might not be available in their offices as they typically would during their typical hours, or possibly. Also keep that in mind. But, using this phone call ability for baseball specifically can really help benefit you and help you build some lines of communication with college coaches in the meantime. So with this definition of this new dead period set, the question that we're now getting a lot from student athletes and parents who are attending our events is, okay, what is the specific and actual impact on the baseball recruiting process for these programs and for me as a ball player? It's important to remember here that these programs were in season up till a few days ago and would have been through the middle or end of May into June if they're into NCAA postseason play. So because of that, it was already very difficult for most of these coaching staffs to hit the recruiting trail in the spring season. Even though this is a window from March 1st through the summer is listed as a contact period for baseball. The change that is going to make in most programs, recruiting is functionally a lot less than it first seems by the definition of that. During a contact period, coaches can go off campus to recruit. They can host you on campus for a visit to recruit. But these coaches, while they were allowed to scout off campus, meet with student athletes on campus, and have these face-to-face interactions, the reality for most programs is that they don't have much of the opportunity to do so because during the spring, they're busy involved with the day-to-day hands-on running of their programs, coaching their players, traveling almost every weekend for conference series, et cetera, everything that goes with running a great program at these great schools. For baseball players in particular, yes, there are going to be recruiting ramifications for your process from the disruption, but we also want to assure ball players that right now you're not missing out on key face-to-face exposure windows because these coaches were limited in what they were able to do recruiting-wise while they were in season. That covers the tactical changes to the recruiting calendar. And so up next in the coming days is our dead period recruiting tips, where we'll cover how to manage your recruiting in the midst of this disruption. What are my best next steps? What can I do right now with the canceled high school season, a travel ball season that may be in jeopardy to start the summer, the cancellation of seasons for schools that I'm interested in? What can I do now? So we'll talk about that on the next little module. If you have any questions about this video or about the upcoming content, please feel free to contact us or drop it in the comments, and we can make sure that we get your question covered. You can reach us by email at showcase@headfirst.com or by phone at 202-715-6654. As I said, we're working remotely for the time being, but our team is equipped to get back to you as soon as possible with the right answer to make sure that you are set and covered for the next steps in your recruiting process. Look forward to talking over the next few days.